Good day. Today we're going to be looking at set builder and interval notation, especially in respect to domain and range of a relation. If you look at this top box, we're looking at the x values, or the domain, and you can see that all three of these are written in a different way, but they're talking about the same domain. Now you should be familiar with this, but if not, let's review. The top of this box says x is less than 3 or x is greater than or equal to 6. If you look on the line graph, it represents it. Make sure you note that the open circle is non-inclusive, the closed circle is inclusive, so less than 3 and greater than or equal to 6. Set builder notation. This is the one that I believe we tend to forget, but it is important and it is imperative that you know how to write it as well as read it. Here's what this says. The set of x values where x is less than 3 or x is greater than or equal to 6. I have marked out which those symbols mean. Make sure you can read that properly. Here's examples of interval notation. Make sure you're using parentheses if you are not including the value in the domain or range, and make sure you use square brackets if you are including them. One more thing to note, if you are using negative or positive infinity, you cannot put a square bracket on an infinity symbol. The reason is infinity is not a number, it is a concept. You cannot put a square bracket on infinity because you will never actually reach it. All right, this next chart shows you the different kinds of interval, set, graph, and type. Make sure you know what I mean by closed and open. I'm talking about the circles. A closed circle is including the value, in this case A. An open circle is not including A. Those are all the different ways to write it. Let's put it into practice. Now, you have 12 problems here. I encourage you to try them all, but I'm going to work out one in each row for you, and then I'm going to let you have a chance to pause the video, try the rest, and then I'll show you the answers. All right. Let's do this first one. I'm going to look for the domain, the range, and if it is a function. For the domain, I'm going to start at -4. From -4, if I have a vertical line, I can trace this domain from -4. I keep going. Notice it is a function because it is only touching one point at any one time. Whenever I get to -1, wait a minute, there we go, -1 for my domain. This line does go through two parts. However, the top part of this graph is an open circle. Therefore, the line is not touching it. It is going directly through it and just hitting the bottom. I'm still a function at this point. So -4, I'm going to keep going. Same occasion here, only the top circle is closed, the bottom is open, and it keeps going indefinitely to the right because this is supposed to be an arrow. All right. My domain then is not including -4, open parenthesis, -4 to infinity. It's going to keep going to the right and parenthesis. My range, I'm going to touch -2, then I'm going to skip to 1, and then I'm going to skip to 3. So I'm going to use set notation, and I'm going to say this is the set of values of -2, of 1, and of 3. Those are the only three numbers I will have in my range. And this is a function. All right, let's look at the second row. I want to do number 6. My domain. If I start on the left and go to the right, I have an arrow on the left, I have an arrow on the right, and there's no breaks in between. Therefore, my domain is all real numbers. Or you can write it as -infinity to +infinity. my range, I'm going to write in set notation. So the set, all right, what am I talking about? The range. What is the range? The y values. So the set of y where, all right, if I notice my lines keep going down, so my lower bound is negative infinity, and I'm going an upper bound, the highest the y will ever be is positive 1. So I want y to be less than or equal to 1. And curly bracket. This is a function because the vertical line test will pass at all points. Any input has one output. Seven is a fun one, so let's do it. My domain. I'm going to say that x will be greater than positive 1, because that is the beginning of my line. If I were to trace this over, it touches 2 points, anywhere after 1 actually. So I can want to say it is not a function. Now let's look at the range. I have an arrow going down, I have an arrow going up. The only thing that is not in the range of this is 2. So here's my answer. My range is all real numbers, but, or where, but y is not equal to 2. In other words, what that says is it is everything besides the number 2. I want to do 10 and 12 for this. Actually, I'm going to do 8 and 12. Because I think if you can do 12, you can certainly do 10. So 8 and 12. For 8, I want to do it just to show you a different way to write set notation for my domain. I have an arrow going left and an arrow going right. So my domain is from negative to positive infinity, but I'm going to use set notation for this. So this is the set of x values where x, this symbol means, is in the set of the real numbers. So this means x is a real number. I just want to show you different ways that you can write the interval of any of these problems. That's what that means right there. X is a real number. My range is at -2. Let's use set notation also, just because why not? The set of y values where y is greater than or equal to -2. This is a function because your input only has one output. All right, number 12. My domain. The lowest x value I have is -5. I have one arc to +3. There's open circles on both sides. Therefore, I need parentheses and not a square bracket. My range, I'm also going to write this in interval notation. For my range, I'm going to look at -3 is the lowest I can be. Now, while the highest is 5, something happens in the middle. As I'm going up along this curve, I get to +1 and I have a hole. Because I have a hole at +1, I'm going to write this range as from -3 to 1. I'm going to put a square bracket on -3 because I do touch -3. And I'm going to put a parenthesis on 1 because I do not touch the value of 1. Now that's the bottom half of this circle. So to do the top half, I need to say union with a U. I'm going to start at 1 again. And this time I'm going to be going upward. And I'm going to reach 5. It does touch 5. It gets a square bracket. All right, is this a function? You should very quickly say no, because anywhere on this I can draw a vertical line and it will show me my input has more than one output. So, no. I would like for you to try these before I show you the answers. So take a second to pause it for the first 9, and then pause it for 10 and 11. Now here's the answers. I do want to point out they might be written in a different way on my answer key than what I did on the paper, but it doesn't matter because they are all the same thing. Okay, and there's all your answers. That's all we have for today as far as notes go. So I hope you have a great rest of your day.